right, people. President Trump has just blasted the Somalians again. Now, before I play you that video, let me show you some statistics so we better understand whether Trump is making stuff up or there is some truth to it. So let me show you this Truth Social post by President Trump. He said, lifetime contribution per immigrant. When an immigrant comes from these countries, from North America, I'm assuming Mexico or Canada, then over his lifetime, he will add 573,000 US dollars. If they're from Scandinavia, they will add 557,000. If they are from Oceania, like Australia or New Zealand, 476,000. From Japan, 525,000. From the UK, 481,000. So that's why, and not just ordinary UK citizens, okay? I'm sure all of them are white UK citizens, with few exceptions of some good brown people like myself, for example. But on the flip side of that, Somalis cost the state of America more than anyone else. One Somali immigrant to America cost America $1.1 million. And the rest are not doing much better either. The Somalis are the winners in this race. So that's what President Trump posted a couple of days ago, okay? Which obviously goes against the entire idea of immigration. The whole idea of immigration is not that it's charity. The whole idea of immigration is that you bring in people who are going to contribute to your society. That is the reason why America became the greatest country on earth. That's why when we say that immigrants built America, we meant these immigrants, the immigrants in the green, not the bottom ones. So that's why it matters which immigrants you let in. Okay, so let's just say that's President Trump, but you know, people accuse President Trump of making stuff up. So let's have a look at some other statistics from some other countries. For example, this one is from Finland. So according to the Finnish state, one Somali immigrant is estimated to cost the Finnish state 951,000 euros. It's very similar to this 1.1 million US, I guess. Right, okay. Makes sense. And on the flip side of that, a native Finn contributes a net 3,400 euros per year. Okay. I think it's very similar to the good immigrants in America. So that's clear. Bring in immigrants from good countries. Okay, well, that's just Finland. Maybe America and Finland are some sort of weird exceptions. Lucky for us, Denmark also released. Again, these are not some NGO statistics. These are the official statistics released by the Danish government. Oh, actually, sorry. That was just net fiscal cost of importing Somalis. So they don't only drain you fiscally, they also are the winners when it comes to contributing to crime. When it comes to rape in Denmark, Somalis are 20 times more likely to commit rape than a native Dane. When it comes to assault against public servant, they're 11 times more likely than a Danish person. When it comes to attempted homicide, they're 27 times more likely to murder you than a native Dane. Blackmail, they're 14 times, so they're number 2. Only Palestinians are ahead of them. That's another group you should have a hard look before you bring them in. Burglary, Palestinians win that one again, with a close second, Somalis, 8 times more likely. Forgery, that would make sense with all this Minnesota disability scam that's being unraveled at the moment. A lot of forgeries involved in that. Fake invoicing, fake signatures. So it's not just America. By the way, it's happening in Australia on a huge scale as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if Somalis are winning that race in Australia as well. But in Denmark, they're 13 times more likely to commit forgery than a native Dane person. Fraud. So predictable. They're 8 times more likely when it comes to committing an act of fraud. Grievous assault, Somalis, 17 times more likely. And have a look, pretty much everywhere. It's either the Somalis or the Palestinians. Look at this. Fraud. Actually, Somalis are tied with Palestinians when it comes to committing an act of fraud. And Palestinians are second when it comes to committing an act of grievous assault. Groping, ooh, Syrians win. The Somalis are actually much lower on that list. They're only 9 times more likely than a native Dane when it comes to groping women. Robbery, 33 times more likely to commit an act of robbery. Shoplifting, Tunisians, surprise visitor there. Somalis, they're only 7 times more likely. They're number 3 on that list. Okay, well, I guess they don't care about shoplifting as much as they care about robbery, groping, forgery, fraud, rape, assault against public service, attempted homicide, Jesus, theft. Palestinians are the biggest thieves. And then they accuse Israel of stealing their land. Somalis there, number 3. So have a look at this. Net cost and rape conviction rate. Somalis are 20 times more likely than the Danes. And look at this. Romania is the only other Western nation. Some people wouldn't even include Romania in the West, but they are a European country, albeit Eastern European country. They're much closer to the Western civilization than any of these other countries. And look at them. Look at them. You let them in, and they're your women. They're your women. And not just rape, all of this. Yeah? All of this. Okay. Maybe Finland, Denmark, America, they're all racist countries. If they're racist countries, why did they let them in the first place? But who cares about the details? This is the UK. Once the crown jewel of Western civilization, our cultural ancestor. And it hurts me the most when I look at the current state of the UK. Somalis, 72% of them live in social housing. Then Jamaicans, Ghanans, Afghanis, North Africans, Bangladeshis, Iraqis, other Caribbean, Nigerians, Turkey, Poland. Poland is at the bottom, 17%. Okay, so now you have some basic understanding armed with facts and figures and stats. Now let's watch this video where a rising GOP star questions a bleeding heart liberal. I don't know what his name is.
Does large-scale Somali immigration make Minnesota stronger or weaker?
Certainly stronger.
Ooh.
Certainly stronger. Do you know what percentage of Somali-headed households in Minnesota are on food stamps?
Ooh.
No.
54%. Do you know what that number is for native Minnesota-headed households?
Well, to be clear, a majority of the...
It's 7%. There's a big difference between 54% and 7%, is there not?
Excuse me, sir, could I answer the question?
Let me move on. We've got a lot of questions here. What percentage of Somali-headed households in Minnesota are on Medicaid?
I don't know.
It's 73%. Do you know what that number is for Minnesota native households?
Again, you're using the phrase Minnesota native house.
You see how dishonest these people are? He has a problem with the term native. Okay, let's just say non-Somalis. How about that? He's saying most of these Somalis are actually born in Minnesota, so they should be called native Minnesotans. He's got a problem with that label. Well, that actually supports our argument even more, that even if they're born here, they still don't bring anything to the table.
But the majority...
The number is 18%. That's quite an astounding difference. I think we would agree.
Can I answer the question, please?
Let me ask you one more, and then we can go on to that. What percentage of Somali-headed households are on welfare in general?
I don't know.
It's 81%. Ooh. What about... let me just ask you, after 10 years of being in the United States, what percentage of Somali immigrant households continue to be on welfare?
I don't know.
The number is 78%. So even after 10 years, 78% of Somali immigrant households continue to be on welfare. Do you know what that number is for native Minnesota-headed households?
Again, you're using
non-Somali immigrant-headed households.
If I can just answer the question, when you're using the phrase native Minnesotans, the majority of Somali Minnesotans are as Minnesotan as any of us. They were born in the United States. It's only 8,000 of the 108,000 Somalis.
And nevertheless, the welfare usage is astoundingly different. Let me ask you again, does that make Minnesota stronger or weaker?
Again, I'd like the opportunity to answer the question here. So, again, the majority of Somali Minnesotans are born in the United States, as I understand it.
Okay,
okay, fine. Non-Somalis. Replace the word native with non-Somalis. Big deal. Move on.
What percentage of working age Somalians who have been in the U.S. for 10 years or more, how many of them speak English very well?
I don't know.
About half. The answer is about half. That seems pretty low, doesn't it?
Again, I keep trying
It doesn't
to
sound like something that makes our country stronger to me, and I think most Americans would agree with me on that. I need to move on. Ms. Robbins, when would you say we concretely knew that widespread welfare fraud was occurring in Minnesota?
There have been reports since 2009 from the Office of Legislative Auditor. I would say the credible reports on childcare fraud started surfacing 2011 to 2013.
So for over a decade.
Yes, sir.
When do you think Governor Walz knew about this fraud?
From the very beginning. He was running for governor in 2018 when there were prosecutions going on, when there was an OLA report, active cases in the news all the time.
And what was the Walz administration's response?
They actually did nothing when they got into office, and Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan had been on the committee in the legislature that had hearings on childcare fraud. And when they got into office, they did put $5 million into a little more money, but nothing changed. But
nothing. And let me ask you, Mr. Hudson, thank you for being here. Did those who commit this fraud, do they typically vote for Republicans or Democrats, in your opinion?
In my opinion, thank you for qualifying it like that, I would say they most definitely overwhelmingly vote for Democrats.
Do they?
It's the same thing happening right here in Australia. Our Home Affairs Minister says you don't need to integrate, you don't need to assimilate, you don't have to lose your identity as long as you vote for us. That's all these lefties care about. They have no care in the world about the future of our countries. How our way of life is being openly, not only challenged, but openly being destroyed by certain cultures, aggressive, hostile foreign cultures.
The concept of immigration is people, when they come to Australia, want to be part of Australia. That's what people want. And I've never accepted the word assimilation. I don't want people to lose who they are. The word integration is one that's being used as part of a multicultural dialogue for a very long time. And that's what it is. Like, we want people for who they are. I've never subscribed to that sort of melting pot concept that your whole identity is meant to be dissolved.
Typically donate to Republicans or Democrats?
Not to my knowledge. They
opinion?
don't donate to Republicans, they donate to Democrats, in my opinion, yes.
Got it. So would you say this is the Somali population is an important demographic for Democrats to win over politically?
Unquestionably.
Got it. And do you think it would have hurt Democrats' political standing with the Somali population to investigate this fraud?
Very clearly.
Got it. So in other words, you're saying that there was a political incentive to cover up widespread Somali fraud. Is that right?
100%.
Got it. Let me ask all three of you. Did the Walz administration and Democrats intentionally, in your opinion, overlook this fraud while it was happening for political gain? I'll start with you, Ms. Robbins.
Absolutely. We have credible whistleblower reports that the Department of Human Services administration, up to the OIG and the commissioner, met with a group called the Minnesota Minority Child Care Association multiple times, and that they were trying to weaken protections. We wanted,
Right.
we had several changes we wanted to do, and they opposed all of them.
And Mr. Hudson and Ms. Rarick, and then my time is up.
I would agree.
Absolutely. The whistleblowers confirm it.
Got it.
Okay. Now that you know what you know, now let's listen to President Trump, what he has to say about Somalia.
Which is barely a country. You know, they have no anything. They just run around killing each other. There's no structure. And when I see somebody like Ilhan Omar, who I don't know at all, but I always watch her for years. I've watched her complain about our Constitution, how she's being treated badly. Our Constitution, the United States of America, is a bad place. Hates everybody, hates Jewish people, hates everybody. And I think she's an incompetent person. She's a real terrible person. But
not just incompetent, a corrupt person. I think relevant organizations are actually closing in on her. Her fortune jumped from a few $1,000s to tens of millions of dollars, and she linked it to some vineyard or winery, which doesn't even exist. So I think the authorities are closing in on her. I really hope something happens, because I'm also getting sick and tired of this, that she's corrupt and she's stolen this much money, blah, 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 but nothing happens. Like, come on. Surely the American justice system is better than that. Surely the FBI can find out.
when I watch what is happening in Minnesota, the land of 1,000 lakes, or however many lakes they have. They got a lot of lakes. But this beautiful place, and I see these people ripping it off. And now I'm understanding, and you're going to look into that, Scott. I hear they ripped off Somalians, ripped off that state for billions of dollars, billions, every year, billions of dollars, and they contribute nothing. The welfare is like 88%. They contribute nothing. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you. Okay? Somebody would say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country is no good for a reason. Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country. I could say that about other countries, too. I can say it about other countries, too. We don't want them to hell. We have to rebuild our country. You know, our country's at a tipping point. We could go bad. We're at a tipping point.
I don't know why I feel like I've heard this before, so it might be an old clip, but it's certainly as relevant as ever. So there's nothing wrong in telling the truth, because at the end of the day, it's the truth that matters, no matter how bitter that is. We don't only tell the truth when it's convenient or when it's easy, okay? We need to tell the truth. Even, I would say, we need to tell the truth even more so when it's difficult, when it's inconvenient, when it's bitter. And I agree with him. Not just America, every Western country is at a tipping point. I say that all of our Western democracies are going through a stress test. American democracy is under a lot of stress. It is a good test of the American Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the principles that were set by the founding fathers of America. Can they still take America out of these troubling times? It's the same in Australia. We don't have constitutionally protected free speech. We don't have the right to bear arms. But we have our democracy, which has been working really well up until very recently. Okay, we have a preferential voting system, which is, in my opinion, a much better system than a non-preferential voting system. And then obviously we have the UK form of government, no constitution, but the UK is probably under more immediate danger than any of the other countries, but we're not far off behind. So this is no time to celebrate or give ourselves a pat on the back. I am happy with President Trump. He's trying to do the best for his country. But what happens if the Republicans don't win the next election? What happens if the Democrats win? They're going to open the borders again. What are you going to do that? All the hard work that President Trump is putting in right now, and he's not succeeding, to be fair. You know, like, I mean, I know ISIS has been doing well. They've been deporting people, but it's not easy. Far from it. Your way of life is under threat. Your way of governance, your democracy, everything is under threat. So these are troubling times, guys. These are testing times. The optimist in me believes that we're going to win, but you can never be complacent.